So I'm on a date, and the guy tells me that my drink is swimming with microplastics. How romantic. Then I'm microwaving my leftovers at work, and someone says, "You know that's full of hormones now, right?" Half the people I talk to say that I'm overreacting, and the other half say that I'm doomed. So which is it? And why is this conversation so complicated? First up, are we being exposed to microplastics and nanoplastics? Yeah.
They're in the air that we're breathing in, the water we're drinking, the food we're eating. We probably do have some level of plastic in our body, but we don't have convincing, validated data that shows that yet.
If you think of a grain of rice, microplastics can be the same size or even smaller, and nanoplastics are completely invisible to the naked eye.
The real question is how much and if it's actually a problem.
Let's start with the how much part, because this is kind of at the core of the issue. Measuring is tricky, there are different types of plastic, and this is where headlines can sometimes get away from us.
But of course, a study that says, yep, this is fine, don't worry about it, it's not going to get in the press. And the study that uses a really high dose that we would never normally be exposed to, that's the one that sort of gets the press attention.
This is a very young analytical field and is progressing very quickly, but perhaps a little bit too quickly.
The tricky part is that some plastics can look a lot like fats in the body, so the test might be mistaking the natural stuff for plastics and hiking the numbers up. The standardized test was actually one of the big recommendations made by the World Health Organization when they did a huge review of the research in 2022. Okay, so even if measuring is inconsistent, is there anything we can say about how this affects our health?
It's very hard to say exactly how much and whether it's actually a problem.
Are they excreted through natural pathways straight out of the body, or can they actually cross biological barriers and get into bloodstream, tissues, organs?
Food Standards Australia, New Zealand, the European Food Safety Authority, they both say that small amounts of microplastics in food and drink are unlikely to harm our health. But the World Health Organization points out that the research is still pretty limited and full of uncertainties. But their takeaway is clear. It's better to be cautious and cut down on unnecessary exposure. They're seeing more and more evidence that microplastics and nanoplastics could carry health risks. Another concern are chemical additives or ingredients in plastics. They make them tougher or clearer, but under heat they can leach into food or drink.
The chemicals are probably what, at this point, we need to be more worried about. So we know a lot of these chemicals are endocrine disruptors. There's been links with type 2 diabetes.
Jones says that manufacturers already have to test for safety. So when something is labeled microwave safe, they've already been tested for its chemical leaching and that it stays below a regulatory limit.
They actually have to test the leaching rate of the chemicals in them before they can put it onto the market. And you have to show that the rates are not going to cause a problem or not there at all.
Having done all this research, have you changed anything about the way you live your life?
Our bodies are not designed to be digesting up hard pieces of plastic, so reducing how much we're actually eating in our food or drinking in our water can only be a good thing.
Cassie says that there are small things that you can do, like venting your dryer outside or swapping out some plastic in your kitchen. But with so much plastic in the environment, big changes would have to come at a systematic level. This year in Geneva, the UN tried to hammer out a global plastics treaty and failed. The World Health Organization says that scientific developments are fast moving. So if we make a treaty, it needs to be flexible in its wording to include things that we know and the things that we don't know yet.
Humans in general seem to be a little bit bad about weighing up risk, so we'll be quite happy to take a car trip, we drive too fast, sit in the sun without sunscreen on, but then we worry about microplastics. And bear in mind, we are also exposed to a lot of other small particulates on a daily basis, from burning fossil fuels, for example. People don't seem to worry about them quite so much, even though they're similar size.
Both experts agree that headlines oversell concern, but the World Health Organization says that precaution is probably the safest approach.